Welcome to Urban Legends with your hosts, Smartwatch, Neil and Chris, and Omas. Google Speaker.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Urban Legends, the podcast about urban legends and other such stuff from the planet Sol Alpha in the Intergalactic Federation Commonwealth Union. I am a person who just got back from the annual Chris convention, Chris Flynn, and with me is the famous circus performer known as the Human Firework. It's Mr.
Neil Herbert.
Hi, Neil. How you doing? How's your year going?
Yeah, I mean, early doors yet, but you know, nothing too momentous thus far. But it's, hope springs eternal.
What about all these revelations coming out of Prince Harry's book?
Well, I do. Yeah, I'm trying to think of some of them.
Lost his virginity round
a pub car park, wasn't it?
In a pub car park with an older lady. Nice one. He's such a cockney.
Yeah, I do kind of question, like, do we believe that these things as he's saying are true? I don't know. I don't know. How
much freedom does he get to just
well,
go
this is
down
what I was thinking, because surely there's, like, I mean, he's
security telling him what to do.
I mean, to be honest with you, like, for a member of the public trying to fuck in a car park is like outside a pub. It's kind of like
it's still a bit dicey.
Yeah, it's not terribly believable. If you've got a security detail following you around, I'm kind of like, I don't know. Maybe you can. I honestly don't know.
I wonder if you get just used to security detail being there, so you don't really see them as human anymore. They're just like objects, so you can just do whatever you want in front of them.
Yeah, that's fine.
And he used to like a bit of Charlie,
a
bit of cocaine, apparently. Well,
no, I've not seen it because isn't this because apparently the Spanish book it was released early or something or leaked.
No, there's been leaks.
Yeah, okay, it was leaked in Spain, and then they've been translating that and sort of putting it on in the newspapers. Yeah, I've seen some of the revelations that come out.
Him and Prince William came over and gave him a kick in for marrying a blackbird.
Then a dust up, and then it
was like EastEnders or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's. I don't know. I kind of wonder how much
like pushing and pulling. Oh, I broke my necklace and I fell into the dog bowl and cut my arse. What I didn't realise is, because I looked it up afterwards, they're quite big, the royal princes. Not like they're famous. Yeah, like Prince William's 6'3".
Is he? Oh, okay.
Yeah, and Harry's 6'2", so they're not little lads.
No, I suppose you sort of
got it from their mum's side, I guess.
Little princes. But yeah, because he's not that tall, is he?
So they're a bit of a unit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, really. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm just not that fussed about the royals. I mean, I don't know if I want my royals being on gack and fucking in pub car parks, to be honest with you.
That's all right.
It's fine, but like you say, it's all about EastEnders. I mean, that's what low-level celebrities are for, isn't it? That's what pop stars and that should be up to.
I don't know. Like,
royals want to be getting on a balcony and having a wave, don't they? That's what they want to be up to.
No, I don't want to be around the back of.
It makes you wonder what the old Queen was up to, doesn't it?
She was on Laudanum. Excuse me, but excuse one while I kiss the sky.
Yeah, she was at Woodstock. That's what you don't know.
She was, yeah. Apparently, she had an affair with Jimi Hendrix. That's what I heard.
That's what.
And he threatened he was going to say something, and the courtiers bumped him off.
Yeah. I just swallow a bit more of that vomit.
Yeah,
can't dust for vomit, as I said in Spinal Tap. But yeah, well, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What else they've been up to if all of that's been happening?
It's really, really tawdry, isn't it?
It's just a bit,
it's quite funny. Because I don't care about the royals either, but they must be hating this. And also,
I'd be winding them up something massive, and
also like the thing is as well, he hates the royals all so much, right? Fair enough, but that's where he's making his living. Still, it's like just if you don't want to be part of it, fuck off. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I am pretty much in that position, to be honest. Because I think obviously the abuse that they got was ridiculous, and you see some of the sort of reactions to sort of. Meghan, you think some of it's been driven, obviously, by
right-wing media.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah. I mean, you see that Clarkson column on quite. It's like a bizarre kind of like. Well, again, it's just it's that whole thing of let's just try and make stir it up and just get people aggravated and so on and so forth because it moves units. But yeah, from their perspective, there seems to be just all of this tawdry stuff to make a bit of money, and just there's things that I don't know. I've seen the other day, and I didn't get drawn to, but some crap about how his brother was drunk during his wedding, and you think, or you know, he could still smell the rum on his breath the morning after, and it's like that's not the sort of shit you put in a, you know, do you know what I mean? Like, shit about. I mean, if you don't like him, that's, you know, fine and all the rest of it. But it seems really petty, and it's
he got a bit drunk, but that's not unusual.
Fine, yeah. Well, no, exactly, and it's, you know, it's just like, well, I had to give him a mint because I could still smell the rum on his breath. It's like that's not the sort of crap you sort of tell in your autobiography, is it?
No, it's really weird to kind of.
It's a bit petty to me. You know?
Yeah, to go kind of that. Well, it almost like saying stuff like that makes it seem like you don't have a lot to say.
Well, no,
like,
exactly.
Yeah. And after his wedding, he was hungover. Chapter 10. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
well, I think it's supposed to be the morning of, but then I suppose if he had his stag do the night before or whatever, but which is not a good idea. But so, yeah, never do that. But yeah, I don't know. It's it's.
Well, also people get nervous for their wedding, don't they? Before they get married, like maybe had a bit too much the night before.
I think whether they do it or not.
Also, the marriage was going to be in front of the whole fucking world as well. Like when I got married, I was nervous enough, and that was in front of a registry office of about 50 people. Do you know what I mean? Like, let alone fucking being beamed all over the world.
No, absolutely. But no, just for me,
you might want to be a little bit toasted.
Like saying that in your own, like about your own wedding in your own autobiography is like, that's fair enough. You can share that if you want. Saying it about your family, do you know what I mean? It just feels a little bit petty to me. Because presumably it's not something you know, whether it's true or not, it's not something you'd want to come out, you would think. So it's kind of like, I don't know, it just feels a little bit.
Yeah.
Why are you sharing that?
Yeah.
It's not that interesting, and it just feels a little bit. I mean, no wonder you don't get on that well with each other. I mean, like I say, whether that's just because they've massively fallen out. But again, even if you've fallen out, it's like.
Yeah, but you still don't know. So there's like, I'm very much one of the people who kind of believes in don't wash your dirty public in laundry.
Your laundry in public.
Laundry in public. Don't wash your dirty public in the laundry. Because people don't like going in machines. Yeah, no, I don't think, you know, sort of, it's better not to say anything. But then obviously, you can't get millions and millions of pounds of books, can you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of like...
you can talk about yourself if you want. Like, talk, you know, exactly. My penis got frostbite. You know, I banged some. My first sexual experience was in front of a load of security guards who were going oi, 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 and clapping in a cup.
Yeah, because I've obviously not read it. But those
it's meant to be in a field behind the pub, so I imagine it's genteel.
Oh, in a field behind the pub. Okay, well, yeah, I've not read the sort of full. I've just sort of seen the headlines in various places.
Yeah, so have I, yeah.
It did make me think, but yeah, I suppose it depends. You know, if it was like some really rural pub, I suppose it's possible. But...
Yeah, I mean, talk about that stuff if you want, but yeah, I don't know. All seems a bit silly. So, leading on from that, Neil, why did people in the circus call you the human firework?
Well,
because of your temper.
Well, no, you may recall me from you know, the England game where I you know had a little celebration.
Yeah. Okay.
Little anal fireworks.
So you fire fireworks out of your rectum then?
Yeah, I'm like a combination of Mr. Methane and a you know, bonfire.
Very good.
Yeah.
So after the England match, then you got tapped up by Zippos or whatever, the circus.
Yeah. Well, Paddy Power sponsored me to do like a tour around. I was the right level of wackiness that they were looking for. So yeah.
Oh, good. Does Paddy McGuinness open for you?
Yeah, he sometimes does. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know, like for you know, one of his comedy tours. You know,
or Jimmy Five Bellies or something.
I sort of do a warm up for the Top Gear lads. You know, it's a sort of
okay. You know, yeah, and they go, huh. Yeah,
get the audience laughing.
Health and safety must hate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Is it profitable?
It flint off to bowl at fireworks that are coming out of my butt cheeks.
Oh yeah, the Top Gear. So.
Yeah, sorry, you got to remember now. Top Gear, it's not the old crew. I don't know what they're on.
They're on Amazon
Prime thing, aren't they? Yeah, I don't know what it's called. Racist old drunk.
Yeah,
that is his mates or whatever.
Yeah, we thought we were more powerful than we were, and now we're
getting increasingly, you know, once mildly amusing, but now getting increasingly tedious to try and get shock value to keep ourselves in the paper.
It's just called Top Gear. Funny how you get more right when as you get older.
Well, this is the thing. I think, you know, kind of like, I think half of what he writes, I mean, it's just like the Stuart Lee thing, isn't it? It's just, it's like all done to an agenda just to sort of like, you know, it's very performative. I think a lot of it's like what's going to stoke up and sort of annoy people this month.
Yeah, of course.
What's going to trigger the libs.
Yeah. Because so that's kind of seen as like all triggering the libs, like kind of a modern culture wars thing. But to be fair, like the right-wing press have been doing that in the UK since they began.
Well, I preferred back when they were honest, when like the Daily Mail had just like back Oswald Mosley because it's what they believed in rather than blaming to trigger the libs. Just do it because
because you believe in fascism.
Fall and afraid you think fascism's a good thing. Yeah, just be honest about it rather than just doing it to annoy lefties.
Yeah,
but there you go. So that's mind you, having said that, if Nigel Farage wants to put me on Talking Pints, as I found out his talk show is called,
really,
to do a little fireworks display, unbelievable. I was with family over Christmas, and that was one of the things I learned is that his talk show is called Talking Pints, and he sits on a set, nursing a pint of nut brown ale,
nice and warm under the studio lights.
We should let people on, but boats crossing over drowning.
Does the guest have to have a pint as well?
I presume so, or a white wine for the lady. I didn't really pay
This reminds me of there was a really weird show. And
my eyes are rolling very hard back into my head at the Talking Pints thing at that point.
My eyes are rolling back in your head so hard that the channel actually disappeared because it was sucked out. What he's done is he's kind of taken the format of Johnny Vegas's 18 Stone of Idiot, which was a weird late night chat show on Channel 4 where Johnny Vegas was just hammered. And he would be drinking all the way through it, and he would get the guests to drink with him. So they've pretty much just taken that and moved it to kind of the Daily Mail territory.
Well, no, exactly. But again, it's just him like nursing. It's just having a pint as a prop, because if you actually do that,
pint as a prop,
if they actually got like completely smashed and then sort of started talking about stuff,
I'm being honest,
be interesting. But but then I think a few people might let more things slip than they want to. So
cool. Well, I'll be sure to check it out.
Yeah, definitely do that. So there's that. I love the amount of kind of like the fact that he's never been elected, but he still has so much sort of
it's weird, isn't it?
Say over what people do. But so I mean, your convention of Chris's that you just come back through, then, Chris.
Yes,
is that specifically just around anyone called Chris, or one that's in that you set up yourself, or about yourself? Or
no, it's one.
What's that all about?
It's one for all people called Chris. It was started in 1993 by Chris de Burgh. And anyone called Chris, we all put in 1% of our earnings each year as a tithe, and then we do some charitable works. I don't like talking about it, but then we also, in countries which have over 100,000 Chris's, which is basically America, UK, Australia has one. They don't have that many, but it's building up. Then we have a convention, and I've got to say, since all the Chris's started doing the Marvel films, your Pines and your Hemingway.
I believe that's what it's called. Yeah, there's a lot of them Hemingways. I get them confused.
Hemmingsworth and Pratt. Pratt, he's one, isn't he?
There's a Chris Pratt. Yeah, he's in absolutely everything. That's good.
Yeah, he does the Marvel stuff. So since Marvel have got involved in the Chris game, then we've been able to go to much nicer venues. Got a nice spread. Okay. So this year it was held in a Radisson by Luton Airport in England.
Not too shabby.
It was very nice. So we had a nice free bar, obviously.
Did they have one of those wine angels that they have at the airport? Radissons, well, they come down and dive and pick your bottle up.
I think they've got that one in America, but no, not in the UK. Health and safety gone mad.
Cool.
We had a fondue chocolate fountain. You had very nice sandwiches. You had your smoked salmon and your cream cheese, many as you could eat. Pork pies, all the way from Melton Mulberry.
Oh, that's where you want a pork pie to be from.
Yeah, vol au vents from the 80s.
Oh, nice. Any cheese and pineapple on stick?
Yeah, cheese and pineapple on a stick.
That's what you want. Yeah,
lovely. Mini pizzas.
Not too much tomato or cheese, I hope.
Absolutely not. Basically like breadsticks.
Basically just breadsticks, yeah.
And sliders, whatever they are.
It's like miniature hamburgers, aren't they?
Oh, I thought it was about people who could jump in and out of death. Sliders.
That's another thing. Yeah, I don't know. I initially mistook them because I just thought apparently because you can just slide them down or something. I imagine they slide back out the other way quite quickly as well.
Slide all the way through.
Yeah.
No
All the
problem.
way through the elementary canal. Don't worry about it. Trailer grease behind it.
Yeah, so we do that, and then we have a talk. This year, Chris Eubank was keynote speaker at Luton Radisson for us, so that was good fun.
Yes.
He's a good after-dinner speaker. And then everyone gets a bit drunk. We have a dance, and then but those who can afford it stay at the Radissons, or people like me, we get a coach into Luton and just stay in a B&B or something, and then that's nice. It. We hand out our agenda of what our Chris plans are for the next year.
Sweet. Did Chris Eubank start misquoting Nietzsche?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, the other philosophers. That's his carefully as he might have done.
Yeah, it's just part of his standard set.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, so that was it's good. Looking forward to next year's. Hopefully, the Marvel money will keep rolling in.
Don't see that going anywhere. But mind you, on some of them leaving those, Captain America's one of them, isn't he? He's off somewhere else now. Didn't someone else?
Well, we're trying to line up another Chris to replace him.
Yeah,
we are the dark puppeteering hand behind Hollywood.
You control the whole Marvel. I don't know. Who's the guy who controls Disney now? I don't know. I'm not sure if that's a Chris. Maybe it's a secret Chris.
Probably.
I'd imagine so.
Probably. They're all secret Chris's.
Do we have any non-Marvel movies coming out at some point soon?
What? Just in general?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, fair enough.
No.
A bit of fun on there.
Decided just to put all the money into the Marvel films.
I don't mind a Marvel movie. It's just the fact that they're supposed to have watched like 500 of the damn things these days to.
Yeah,
I've got going on.
I'm sort of up to date because I've got Disney Plus and I've got time on my hands, so I'm trying to sort of keep up with it.
So what was it, Endgame or whatever it was called?
Endgame.
Stop there. I'm not sure what's come out since, because it was just stuff like there was one called Eternals and everyone said it wasn't that good.
It was okay.
Yeah, I'm sure it's fine.
It's okay. I like the fact that they just kind of every single person who's famous in Hollywood, they just try and get them into a Marvel movie now. So like it's like Eternals, get Angelina Jolie in it. Why not? Do you know what I mean? Like it's like every single person who's famous, they just try and get into a Marvel film. I'm surprised Brad Pitt hasn't been in one yet, or Johnny Depp's probably pretty toxic at this point.
Yeah, I can't imagine he's going to get invited anytime soon. But I did quite like that about. It's a different property, but when they put Werner Herzog in the Star Wars thing, yeah, he was good in that. Was it Werner
Herzog or was it me playing Werner Herzog?
No,
we know that I've got an incredible impression of him.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Neil, that's
right.
That's all I'm willing to talk about.
Enough of that. Let's move on to
no more questions.
No more questions. Right. Okay, let's move on to today's urban legend. So we're going to go to the Arkansas Dog Boy.
The Arkansas Dog Boy.
Well, it's called the Dog Boy, I think, in various places, but it is in Arkansas. And do
you mean Arkansas?
No. Arkansas is the area, I believe. So I'm going to read out from the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, specifically the River Valley and Ozark area. But I'll be coming to you first.
Arkansas.
Arkansas is what I'm.
Is that how it's spelling?
You're making me really paranoid now that I'm not making you a massive flub, but
Arkansas. Yeah, Arkansas. That's how it's pronounced. That's the one which they've got, which is like in England where we've got like Worcester.
So I just thought Arkansas was pronounced. Arkansas would have been spelt with a W at the end.
No, it's Arkansas. It's
Arkansas. Oh, that's how Arkansas is spelled, is it?
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah, that's because they're always having a go at us for spelling stuff stupid, which we do. But, that's Arkansas. Leicester being Leicester.
Stuff was pronounced in about 25 different ways in England back in the day, and we just arbitrarily decided on various spellings.
But you're talking about Arkansas.
Arkansas, okay, yeah, no, that makes more sense. I've been pronouncing that Arkansas all my life. What a flub. There you go.
Did you know that there's a town in, I think it's Nevada maybe, called Mexican Hat? It's a good name for a city, isn't it?
Mexican Hat?
Yeah. That's in Utah. It's because there's a rock that looks like someone wearing a Mexican hat.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, it's okay. So I just thought there must have been suited. But anyway, yeah. Sorry, it's just one of those things where it's kind of like you realise you've been, what do they call it?
Blind spot.
Yeah,
It's like I had that. Do you remember when I had that blind spot because I'd never heard "We Don't Have to Take Our Clothes Off" by Duane Stewart? I'd never heard it until I was like 27 or 26, and everyone was like, "This is a really famous song." I was like, "I've just never heard it." And it's a brilliant song. Just had a complete blind spot. Just one of those things I'd missed.
No, but I was aware there was a place called Arkansas.
Yeah.
And just never really put two and two together. It was the same place as this. I haven't seen this one in print. Anyway. Okay, Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Right. Well, but anyway, we're going to start off with the dog boy from Arkansas. So we're going to start off with the cryptid fandom site, which just gives us a sort of little bit of a taster around this, and then we'll dive into a newspaper account. So just sort of outline the sort of a myth you like.
Promising.
So Arkansas is one of those areas that's filled with ghost stories. Most of the older houses seem to have a spirit attached.
I wonder why.
Maybe
more than one. We won't dive into why that might be.
Most of the older houses seem to have spirits. So it would take a lot for a legend to stand out from the crowd. The tale that has managed to claw its way to the top is the legend of Dog Boy.
Dog Boy.
Well, they just seem to be calling him Dog Boy, but I'm calling him the Arkansas Dog Boy because I imagine there's other dog boys around.
You just like the fact that that it's Arkansas now, so you're going to keep practicing.
When I'm considering I've been calling him a Kansas Dog Boy, then it's yeah. So 1954, Gerald Floyd Bettis was born to Floyd and Aileen Bettis, or possibly Floyd Betois.
Betois.
No, it's Bettis. It has since been named the Bettis House. Those who knew him claimed he used to catch dogs and cats and keep them in his home as a young boy.
Uh-oh.
Yep, you've guessed it, Chris. He wasn't playing veterinarian. Instead, he would horribly torture and kill the creatures. What he's
red flag.
Yeah, that's a pretty hefty red flag.
Get him locked up.
See, if he was on Twitter these days, he'd probably have an army of followers who just thought that was alpha behaviour. Yeah. Anyway, but what he's really known for is treatment of his parents. The story goes is that he imprisoned them in the attic, keeping them there for years.
Weak parenting.
Well, according to police reports, he did.
How could you not? Sorry. So he locked them in the attic for years. How could you not get out of an attic given years?
We'll come to the newspaper report in a minute because this is just the.
Had he secretly made it lead-lined walls or something, and a massive 2 feet thick a safe door on it or something?
Oh, we'll have a look in a minute. Do
you know what? I'm not saying that I'm Mr. Big Show or anything like the rest of but I would back myself to be able to get out of an attic in a wooden house within 2 years. There you go. I said it.
Well, fair enough.
Said it. My ego is going overtime here, isn't it?
I think when it'll come down to, and we'll see this in a minute, I think it's kind of like,
he's comfortable up here, actually. It's quite nice.
I think where they're being elderly and being abused. But there's some other things that will come out in the newspaper report. I've had a bit of a read ahead, so you'll see.
Okay.
This is just the presses, if you like, the pressy. The story goes in the attic, keeping them there for years. According to police reports, he did abuse his parents quite badly, but he wasn't arrested for it until the death of his father and the continued abuse of his mother.
Oh, so these are police reports. So this is a real.
Oh yeah, there's
a humdinger.
So there's a mixture of things here, but there's a lot to this.
I was hoping it was going to be like a terrier with the face of a boy.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is not a humanoid creature thing. This is
dear.
He's named the Dog Boy because he liked keeping a lot of pets,
killing a lot of dogs.
Yeah. Died in prison of a drug overdose, and since then, people have claimed that paranormal activity is common in the house. Flickering lights, strange noises.
You just skipped over a bit there. So he was arrested and died in prison of a drug overdose.
So abused his parents.
Yeah.
Possibly kept them in an attic. That's probably a bit controversial, as you say.
Yeah.
Died in prison of a drug overdose.
Okay. What drug?
I don't know. We'll see if it comes in the
toilet wine.
Yeah, it's Pruno probably, wouldn't it?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, don't know. I think the record is silent on that. Haven't got his autopsy report. Sorry.
I thought you'd read ahead.
Yeah. They don't put it in the Arkansas Times for some reason. Since then, people have claimed that paranormal activity is common in the house. Flickering lights, strange noises, and moving objects have all been reported. Considering Bettis once threw his father out of a window, that seems to be getting off pretty light in the haunting department. So there you go. There's obviously, and looking at sort of one of the other articles as well, they were sort of talking about the fact that they still have trouble selling this house. And I think there was one where they tried to. So actually, let's have a look. In 2012, the house was listed for $130,000.
That's not bad.
And over the next 2 years, it endured several price cuts as it drifted on and off the market, finally selling for 68,000, about half of its original asking price.
About 45 grand.
Yeah.
Not much, is it? That's like a deposit on a one-bedroom flat in Brighton.
Yeah, that would be, especially in 2014, things that would have been about 40 yeah, that would be not much more than a deposit on my part.
Would you live in it?
Yes, all right,
Yeah, fine.
Just
get some elderly people in.
Well, I'll pull back in and get a bit of excommunication. I'm still technically a Catholic, so I can
excommunication.
Tap up the excommunication. I'm really having a bad day.
You get yourself excommunicated.
Okay, no, I don't. That's the last thing you need. No, I'll need an exorcism. Why not?
Yeah.
Are you sure that you want to? Yeah, no, but I think I don't
need an excommunication in Arkansas. Stat.
Okay, so when the house was listed by 21st Century Realtors in 2014, they have a succinct description, telling the century home with all the charm and history that goes with it. And we'll find more about that in that due course. So the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, then. So this is the newspaper article, and this one's going back through 2007 because that last bit was from 2020. So this is the official. It's the River Valley and Ozark edition of the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. The Legend of Dog Boy.
Oh, that's a nice house.
Oh yeah, no, it's a good sizable house.
It's a cheerful yellow and blue.
Yeah, looks fine. What could be wrong with it?
It's got garage. It's number 65.
Well, I think it's a bit of a kind of sleepy town.
Yeah, I mean,
not a lot of industry.
It looks like whatever the upstairs. So it's kind of
one of the reinforced.
It's got a gun turret. No, it's one of those that kind of has a normal ground floor and then it has like a room in the roof kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that's got a window. So unless that was added afterwards to make it more saleable, I don't know.
Yeah, well, you get that quite often, don't you? As people do like a loft conversion.
I mean, but this looks like one that was built to be
a bit of that. Yeah, well, they have that kind of. It's quite common, isn't it? I think I'm not sure what the architectural style is called, but anyway, yeah. So this is by Lisa H. Armstrong, filing in from Little Rock, as they the Arkansas Democrat. So
thanks, Lisa.
Some people who live in Cleburne County believe ghosts, including a World War I soldier and a family, haunt a Victorian-era home in downtown Quitman. Why so many restless spirits in a sleepy town like Quitman?
Hi, Lisa.
It may have to do with the area's past, said Dr. Mike Barnett, a retired physician and member of the Herbert Springs Historical Society. He said, Quitman is much older than almost any community in north central Arkansas. During the Civil War, it was a popular place for men to enlist in the army. Until 1870, Quitman was a major trading centre and an important crossroads, halfway point for those travelling from Memphis to Little Rock or from Batesman to Conway. There were nice big houses and buildings there. So the only thing I know about Little Rock is that was where Clinton come from, wasn't it? Bill Clinton.
Is it? I believe I might be wrong, but in the Stevie Wonder song "I Was Made to Love Her," he says he was born in Little Rock.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if he was, or whether that was just the character he was portraying in the song.
Yeah, I'm not sure actually. For some reason, I always thought Stevie Wonder came from Chicago, but I have to look this up now.
Yeah, I'm looking it up this minute. He's from Saginaw, Michigan.
Oh, he's Michigan. Yeah, there you go. So, long-time resident Nelda Kennedy said the Garrett family erected one of Quitman's finer homes about 1890. Another local, Mary Neal Hollowbird, recalled the Jackson family who lived in the house at 65 Mulberry Street. This is the one that we,
Oh, is it 65? Yeah.
This is the haunted house we're getting into now. So Benjamin Jackson lived there with his wife, who died when she was about 28 years old. Their son, Joseph, was born in 1898 and served in World War I and died at the age of about 21, Hollowbird said. She also claims that Jackson's spirit is among those who remain in the house across the street from hers. But in more recent years, the Garrett house has become notorious for its connection to a different family and has become known as the Betis house.
Because they're all supporters of the La Liga side, Real Betis.
Well, one would assume so, yeah. It seems.
Yeah, that play out Seville.
Yeah. Oh, no, it might be because Floyd and Aline Betis moved into the large house in the early 50s.
Yeah, but they changed their name to the football team.
Do you think they were known because they were massive
fans.
supporters of Real Betis? Yeah.
That's right.
You get this, don't you, in like American, what do they call it? It's the, what's the American soccer league called these days?
Major League Soccer.
Oh, yeah, Major League Soccer, MLS, yeah. They'll have, I think is it Real Salt Lake?
Yeah, well, it's where the Mormons royal family lives.
Yeah, they're all practically royals, aren't they?
Yeah, they just named them after European
Joseph
club
Smith and all of that. Yeah.
Into Miami.
whatever that.
Which David Beckham owns, whatever.
He probably does now with all his money.
Yeah, that's the club which he started.
Oh, okay. Oh, what is he a co-owner of Reapps?
Into Miami.
Into Miami. Oh, okay.
New York Red Bulls. They're good.
Nice.
And their stadium looks like a Red Bull can.
Oh, good stuff.
How do Red Bull sponsor so many? How's Red Bull such a rich company? Like, it's mad, isn't it?
People like drinking crappy energy drinks.
Yeah, I know.
They've got the equivalent of a cup of coffee in them.
But how? But I mean, it's so rich.
Have a latte. Yeah, I mean, it's a worldwide brand, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just weird. Just to sponsor everything, like Red Bull Air Races.
Yeah, because I mean, Emirates seem to sponsor everyone as well. But
but they're backed by a country.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So
they're backed by an oil-producing country, but Red Bull, it's just. I guess I don't know many people who drink Red Bull, but I sort of thought it was a bit of a passing fad. But I guess loads of people still have it.
Well, I think 20 years ago, I remember Red Bull and vodka being a big thing. It was quite dangerous because people didn't realise how pissed they were because the Red Bull sort of good. Amount of caffeine kind of keeps you thinking that you actually vaguely got sense in your head. But
we used to drink own brand vodka and own brand Tesco energy drink.
No, absolutely, yeah.
Lovely.
Two horrible tastes that just kind of cancel each other out.
No, it tasted fine, Neil.
Just a sugar taste.
I've drunk a lot worse.
Yeah. I was a teenager, used to snake bites, which are pretty gruesome.
Snake bites are nice.
Not a fan. I don't like white cider. It's not
half cider, half lager, and if you fancy, which I never had it, but a little bit of a blackcurrant cordial in the top.
Well, that'd take the edge off, I guess. But yeah, no, especially because the cider used to buy stuff like White Lightning and stuff like that. They're the most terrible of ciders. So,
no, I mean, I think I mainly would.
Ice Dragon, actually, I think White Lightning was one of posh things. And
I would I'd only have it really like at the Gloucester Club that used to exist. And it's now a fancy fucking microbrewery shell.
Was that the North Lane now?
Yeah.
Is that what it's turned into? Yeah, I always forget. I couldn't remember they turned it into flats or into another pub. I sort of mind that place, but it was a shame when they shut
the Gloucester was like proper grungy.
Oh, no, I used to go there quite a bit, yeah.
And you used to be able to get snake bite for like a quid a pint, so it'd be like half Strongbow.
But they did like pint shots of vodka as well. Oh, not pint, pound shots of vodka as well.
Yeah, that was always good, wasn't it? Back in the day.
It was a fun time.
And now I can't drink anymore.
And now my liver's fucked. Yeah. Remembering the 90s in Brighton. Right. Anyway, going back to the 50s in Arkansas, never mind that. So the couple who were childless for many years. Yeah, well, had a son finally, Gerald Floyd Bettis, in 1954, according to a local historian in the Arkansas Democrat Gazette Archives. So I think they were kind of like getting into their 40s. They'd been
54 was this?
So this was 54 that they had this kid. Yeah.
Same year as my mum.
Ah, there you go.
It's all tying together.
Yeah. Does she like murdering animals?
She likes looking after them.
Not that I know of, but yeah.
She likes looking after them, so maybe it's a yin and yang sort of thing.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah, that could be. No, so Gerald was a difficult child from early on, reported those who knew of him. His parents were good people, but Gerald was a brat, vicious and cruel, Hollowbird said. Bettis also developed some unusual habits early on, including collecting cats and dogs, leading to his nickname, Dog Boy. Ugh. And of course, he's not just collecting them, so he would catch.
Do you know what? I can listen to humans being murdered all day long, but as soon as it's helpless animals, then I get squeamish.
I'm not a fan of either, but yeah, he's obviously wrong. And then you kind of wonder, I don't know, is there some of it in his upbringing or whatever? But once they start torturing animals, then you kind of think, there's something broken in your head, frankly. Whatever causes
not broken, just different.
No, I don't know. Yeah, but the Hollowbirds
are wired a bit differently.
Yeah,
sort of sociopathic.
Yes, no, absolutely. So, Kennedy agreed. He'd forgotten about all of the cats and dogs, but he even added on to the house so we could keep more of them. Presumably, this is when he was an adult. It sounds like it was a habit that he, was going on. I mean, I don't know whether there's not the equivalent of RSPCA or whatever in...
Well, and also, like, if you're one of the neighbours and you know that he's nicking cats and dogs, why aren't you going over and giving him a fucking shoeing?
We'll find out about this. It's basically because everyone was shit scared of him, as we'll find out later on.
Fuck off. It's just one person.
I would have thought in Arkansas they would have been fucking tooled up with guns anyway, so presumably just go over there and just, although maybe they're worried about it. I don't know. Well, listen, this is all speculation, so we'll see.
At the moment, I'm thinking for shame on his neighbours.
Yeah, because they've sort of been quite open about what's been going on, but you do kind of wonder how.
Oh yeah, we knew about all that. Why didn't you do anything about it?
Yeah.
Nothing. The South will rescue. Fuck off.
Heritage not hate, Chris.
Can't even deal like that. Deal with like some fucking punk.
Well, yeah, he just seems to have gotten away with a lot of stuff. So, I mean, the journalist though, I quite like this piece here.
Do you know why he got away with it, Neil? Freedom.
Yeah.
Most important thing, freedom.
He does what he chooses to do on his own land.
Yeah.
For him, your cat or dog chooses to impinge on his land, he's entitled to do what he likes to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
His parents, they're on his land. Do what he
believe
wants.
that's in the Constitution somewhere.
Yeah, I agree. I imagine it's probably in there.
John Adams insisted on that being the proclamation. Now, I'm not saying I agree with torturing animals, but on that's private property. You should choose to. But what is freedom?
To be fair, in the Constitution, people of colour were considered like 2/3 of a man or whatever. So I'm not sure they were going to be deep on the animal rights.
With a slave engineer, when you start off with all men are created equal, that's the only truth. Yeah, it's sort of okay. Anyway,
all men are created equal, and then they say that, and then there's like
that's a good start, and I like where they're going. With
but all men
didn't quite honour the.
But it's like those adverts where they have like where they're selling medicine, and it goes.
all men are made exceptions of all of these cases. Yeah, but it goes without saying anyway. Yeah, Dave Hands and Ours have gone through that stuff. So Kennedy also confirmed that Bettis had difficulties at school. Kids would pester him and take things away from him. But it was like he wanted to be aggravated to get attention. I mean, you kind of wonder a little bit if he was kind of like getting bullied and stuff, because apparently he was quite a big kid and he got teased a lot because he was quite tall for his age. But this somewhere else.
So was I, but I didn't torture cats.
I mean, it's a spectrum of opportunities here, Chris. So we've got Gerald Bettis on one end. You're kind of like in the middle somewhere, and then there's like, Jesus on the left, I suppose.
Probably a bit further left than Jesus. I
don't mean left wing. I mean, it's still,
I don't go round kicking off in temples just because people are lending a bit of money.
Yeah, you're just trying to make a bit of coin,
Yeah, come on.
It's just a side hustle, Jesus. Come on.
Get up and grind.
Yeah. I mean, it's all well and good you wandering around with your 13 disciples expecting other people to feed you, but
all of us can miracle up food, mate. That's, you're in a very privileged position. You need to check your privilege, being the son of God.
Indeed. So I do quite like this, though. This is so she cited one instance in which there was a large family reunion at Quitman City Hall. Gerald took one of those old chaise lounges over there.
That's what we would. When you've had family sort of get-togethers, do you normally just hire out the town hall? I know I do.
Yes.
Rather than just have it around someone's house or something.
I mean,
or even like a church hall.
Without getting into too many cliches, one starts to wonder quite how related all of these people are. I do wonder if it's maybe as you say the property and stuff look quite big. So you kind of get the impression the way they talk about this is like there's 3 people living in the town or something, or it's like some little hamlet. But they've got a city hall. So as you say, the family reunion. Yeah, I don't quite strange. I don't know, different ways. He took an old chaise lounge over there, like the Romans would lay back on, and then he got some grapes and laid down on it to eat them in front of everyone. She said, so he's got some moxie as well.
Good lad.
Yeah. I quite like that move. Where they were living. So, Cleburne County, and it's a town called Quitman.
Quitman.
Okay. So they do say it's a sleepy town. It's obviously fairly small, and they all know each other.
Arkansas. Yeah. Population in the 2010 census 762.
Yeah, that's just like fucking Twin Peaks or something.
Yeah.
Smaller than that, but yeah. Okay, so it's a tiny.
So how have they got a city hall?
Yeah, well, you wonder maybe it was bigger back in the day, but it sounds like it's always been fairly, or maybe it's just had a consistent. I think they did say this. It used to be a major trader centre and an important crossroads between Memphis and Little Rock and other places. So it was probably back when everyone had to stop off there.
Yeah, but I mean, he was born in 1954, so we're talking 60s here.
Oh no, but what I'm assuming is the city hall was probably built back in kind of who knows. Antebellum times possibly or whatever. It was probably an important staging place 200 years ago, and it's not become a ghost town, but it's become a sort of much more because in those days 1,000 people would have been probably a really large stopping off point, but obviously it's never grown, presumably, and you no longer stop off there because why would you bother? You just drive through. Because it's such a big country, I think there's a lot of. I mean, you get this in Britain again as well, don't you? You get like but a lot of it just closes down, or you'll get kind of like country cottages or sort of.
Well, you get in a country the size of America, you get towns that were big and then become small. In Britain, they kind of get to a certain size and then maybe I'm not as important. They don't tend to get smaller because we've got such a lack of space here. Yeah,
no, that's true as well. But you get kind of like out of the way inns and stuff like that. That would have been very busy back in the day. So you get those quite big country inns. Anyway, but yeah, once everyone moved over to cars, then it wasn't really a need for them. Yeah, so he's eating on his chaise lounge, but then his actions allegedly turn more sinister, taking into account the whole animal torturing piece. So he kept his parents virtually imprisoned in the upstairs part of the house. So I don't think they were locked in there, but I think it sounds like kind of like just elder abuse, basically, because I think by this point they're in their 70s or whatever, because I think they had him quite late, and I think it sounds like he's in his kind of like 30s or something. So he said he would feed them, but only when he decided it was time for them to eat. By the time he was an adult,
that's a good idea.
You've got to keep regular meal times.
You've got to keep a routine.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you end up like because old people, like when you get the bus to work, normally they're on the bus to go and do like their weekly shop and stuff, and they have their breakfast at 4 a.m. and their lunch at about 8 a.m. and dinner at about 11 a.m. So you've got to try and. That's what happens when you leave them to their own devices. You've got to keep them on a regular.
Spend the rest of the day contemplating what's wrong with society. That's something I do constantly anyway, but I've become old before my time. But
yes, very much so. No argument here.
Cheers, mate. So he kept him. He feeds on his. By the time he was an adult, locals say Bettis towered over his elderly parents. So he's 6'4" and weighing close to 300 pounds. So as you know, he's got some big wrestler energy going on.
Was that? I'm assuming it wasn't 300 pounds of muscle.
I mean, I don't know. It's kind of like I imagine he's probably one of those kind of like strong fat lads. Do you know what I mean? Like there's
got farm muscles.
Yeah, I imagine you can push him over and he could sort of like meet. He's probably quite strong, but I'm not assuming that's like kind of like he's the Rock or something. But I don't know. Is the Rock like 7 foot or something ridiculous? But
he's like 6'6" or something.
Okay, so it's not that far off. But I imagine it's not.
Well, he's my height and 300 pounds, which is 21 stone, 21 and a half stone.
Yeah. I don't know. I've not seen pictures of him as an adult, but I think, he's quite a sort of formidable presence, especially for sort of 50.
Yeah, I would assume that he's not going to the gym or that kind of thing. So it's
no, but he's not living out in a reasonably rural area. He's probably kind of like,
I don't. Lifting all those cats' heads in bags and stuff, it's a good workout, isn't it?
Indeed. Absolutely. Oh, I'm just thinking, it could be some like new fitness. No, it's not. It's
probably already in LA.
It's just, regular
got kiddie muscles.
Oh God, yeah. There's somebody who would try and tell it. So it was regularly reported that he would beat up his father and even threw him out of an upstairs window one time during his teen years. Although he was in his 70s at the time, the elder Bettis hung onto the ledge until the local police showed up. Hollowbird said.
Well, it's got quite a long slanted roof. So.
Yeah, but you're in your 70s. You don't want to be clinging off by your fingernails.
Yeah, but if you're giving birth to a son like that, then you're probably pretty strong 70-year-old.
Yeah, that's true. But that's pretty horrific. And that was when he was in his teens. I think he was sort of. So according to the Heber Springs Sun-Times, Floyd Bettis died in 1981 after an illness at his home. But others say he was pushed down the staircase and died of a broken neck.
Oh,
well, rumour mill.
Broken heart. It was probably more the neck for the heart. Well,
yeah,
we don't know which one first.
The chakras are related in many ways. It's like reflexology. The neck is closely associated with the heart. So.
Think on.
I was afraid of Gerald, Kennedy said. If you had ever seen his eyes, they seemed to glow at night.
All those cats he's eating.
Yeah. I don't know. Lord knows what else he's ingesting. But one time he came over here. I mean, because I imagine he's got like some severe anger issues as well with the whole. Because the whole thing about like.
Well, that's a power thing, isn't it?
Or powerlessness, isn't it? But kind of like, because he's clearly, exactly. But it's kind of, all trying to exhibit some sort of power over others. But it's because you hear about this sort of like these, budding serial killers, all the rest of it. But I've never sort of come across one of these ones where it's, they carry it on into adulthood, and they've even regularly built an extension onto the house so we could, I'm not sure where he's got a little fucking, Ed Gein thing going on in there or what have you. But,
well, if it happened, I guess. But
yeah, I suppose there is that.
It's got a double garage, so I don't need why you'd need to.
No,
just having a look at it on Street View, thinking of putting an offer.
But I think because I think they sort of. Well, I don't know whether he had a lot of wild animals knocking around as well, and then he was kind of like, I don't know what's going on, so let's not get too much into that. So anyway, she was afraid of Gerald.
Don't try and get into his head, Neil.
No,
because he'll just end up he'll end up getting into yours.
Get into mine, yeah. So one time he came over here and got onto us because we trimmed a magnolia tree that overlapped into his backyard. And then when they started cleaning that house up, one of his uncles came to my house to borrow a gun because he was afraid that Gerald would get riled up, she said.
Good to live somewhere where you could just go, bang, bang, bang. Hi, you don't know me. I'm Gerald's uncle. I've come to help clean out the house. Do you have a cup of gun I could borrow? Just in case he gets riled up. Probs.
It was their uncle, but yeah. In the early, mind you, it sounded like a cat, but in the early 1980s, Aileen Bettis fell and broke her hip, requiring a trip to the hospital. A retired nurse, Hollowbird, witnessed his treatment of his mother. He was slapping her around and telling her, I'm going to have you arrested if you tell anyone what I did. Not long after this incident, she was placed in adult protective services and removed from the home permanently.
Fine.
Okay, yeah. So then a little after that, he built a sunroom in the back of the house and sold the plants he grew, including marijuana.
Okay.
Oh, now the police will get involved.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Well, so they always say that, don't they? It's I bet they blamed all of his animal torture stuff on the marijuana because of war and drugs.
Probably what caused it, yeah. He went,
Even though he did it years after.
Crazy. Yeah, and here we go. Yeah, authorities arrested him based on this and his mother. Oh, and his mother's testimony of her abuse. Okay, there's probably another way to get rid of him. So he was put in prison in the late 80s and died of a drug overdose. They don't say what drug he was taking. He died in 88 at age 34. So yeah, his parents must have been quite elderly when they passed away as well. If he sort of like his dad was in his 70s when he was having to cling out the window, and his mother actually died after him in sort of 7 years later.
It's one of those instances, people always say, the worst thing for a parent is to bury their kids. I reckon she clung on to bury him.
Yeah, I was going to say, just make sure the little shit's in the ground before I can feel happy passing away. Yeah, it'd be a bit of a nightmare.
Well, it's an impossible position for the parents, isn't it? I mean, it's a struggle to imagine someone being that nuts without something happening in their childhood, because generally that's the case. But
yeah,
sometimes,
you do wonder. But...
we don't know the ins and outs. But if he was just born wired differently, and they were elderly, and he was this physically imposing, and they must have loved him to an. Parents turn a blind eye to all sorts, don't they?
You do, and it's kind of like you think, given that they had him quite late, I think, I don't know. I mean, as you say, you don't know what you don't know, but given the fact that they carry on wanting to have children so late, you kind of think that they wouldn't have,
Yeah, they really wanted kids.
They wanted to have kids, so it wasn't like a sort of case where, it doesn't necessarily mean they. But yeah, there's nothing.
Why did they want kids?
Well, yeah, it's just to explain all those animals going missing.
Explain all the marijuana.
We could activate Plan B and then we can fund it all with some marijuana. But just blame it all on the kid. Don't worry, he'll die in prison.
Wink, wink.
Yeah, this is all some Breaking Bad scenarios.
I've got some connections with the Crips.
I don't think they've got a big presence in Arkansas. I could be wrong.
They've got a presence, sort of associated Crip gangs in pretty much every state.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but they're kind of like, they're not quite the gangbangers that they are in sort of LA and stuff. They're kind of like gang of like 5 lads who want to sell some dope and stuff and want to get affiliated. Sort of like really shit motorcycle club kind of thing. They kind of franchise it out a bit.
Yeah. Like the Banger Hells Angels or whatever. I don't know. They might be a tasty crew and Banger. I don't know. I would assume.
Well, we were thinking of making a Brighton chapter, weren't we? Of the Crips.
Well, there's one. I think that or a motorcycle gang would be fun.
Both.
I think for the first 2 series of Sons of Anarchy, I quite fancied sort of like getting a cut and sort of rolling around on a motorbike. But and then got quickly bored of that. No, I wouldn't want to do it. I wouldn't want to do any of the sort of crime stuff. I just quite like the whole sort of camaraderie and stuff.
You'd have to do the crime stuff though, Neil.
This is the problem, isn't it? You see, I would have been chucked out as a prospect because they wouldn't have,
really good at
you're right, beating up this person and just doing like putting meth in your motorcycle tank. And it's like
Well, no, I'm
why
not.
have you got a helmet on, Neil?
Right, I'm not.
That's basic safety, isn't it?
I'm not okay with that. But I've been looking at your books, and I can definitely increase your margins at the motorcycle pub, which you'll hang out in.
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, if you'd actually took care of this place and actually did the books properly, you wouldn't need to be selling there. You would get into some legitimate business.
You've got some quite prime real estate here.
Yeah. You've got an excellent business opportunity in a small town. We've got a lot of stakeholders who are invested in this stuff. We really don't need to be doing all of these things.
Yep.
Practically run the town, so there's money to be making.
Yep. Johnny Bones over here is an excellent mechanic. Have you thought about opening it up to the public?
Yeah.
Like good mechanics are hard to find.
Just intimidating them because they don't have Harleys or whatever it is that they're all rocking around on. We've got a Yamaha or something.
Beep, beep. I've got a Vespa. Can I join?
Well, that's the thing. You keep the original one and then just franchise it out.
Well, that's basically what the Hells Angels have done.
Junior ones, yeah. Do they make any money out of it, though?
Yeah, everyone has to pay
subs. They have to pay in subs.
Yeah.
It goes into the top boys. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Well, there you go. There's a way to make some scratch. I forgot my word now. So
there's a shop in Quitman called Tobacco World. Wonder what they sell.
I would imagine, but
yeah.
Oh no, haunted dolls.
Good thinking, Batman.
Yeah. So Carter sold the house later to Tony Weaver, a truck driver from Morgan. Weaver and his wife lived in the Bettis house for a couple of years. However, the Weavers experienced paranormal activity, said Karen Shillings, founder of the Central Arkansas Society for Paranormal Research, or CASPA for short. Do you reckon they named that after the friendly ghost?
Yeah.
Was that a coincidence? Yeah, I'd like to think so.
I think it's, what was it you called it?
The Central Arkansas...
No, where you come up with the name. Backronym, that's it.
Yeah. That wasn't my invention, to be fair.
No, it's not yours, but you brought it to my attention.
Yes, I like that.
Yeah, that's a definite backronym.
Yeah, it's a backronym. So after seeing a newspaper ad placed by Casper, Weaver's wife contacted Shillings. She said she would turn off all the lights before leaving to work a night shift. But when she returned, the lights would be back on. At first, the woman thought such actions were the result of an intruder, but then more supernatural events began to happen. One time, pennies floated down the stairwell from the upstairs part of the house. The coin stopped.
Heaven. Pennies from heaven.
Yeah. Yeah, and they stopped and fell to the floor all at once, right in front of her.
Ooh.
After 6 months of such occurrences, the wife was very scared and didn't want to live there anymore.
Well,
but Tony Weaver also had his share of baffling incidents. One day I was working on the house.
Not Sony.
Not Sony. Tony's had some incidents, I know. One day I was working in a house.
Tony's got his head on his shoulders.
Yeah. Nonetheless.
Bloody hell.
I wasn't a believer in the supernatural before I moved into the Bettis house, said Sony.
And what did you see, Tony?
I've seen a few things. I seen a man looking through fire into the living room. Looked like World War I soldier, complete with helmet. Looked so real, and when he walked into the living room, I ran after him, but there was no one there.
I couldn't do it. Do you know what? I thought I would go and balmy.
I'd had too much Nuki Brown, perhaps, but can't explain all other things I'd seen, like pennies come downstairs and fall on banister. I don't know where Tony's from. No, Arkansas.
Arkansas, yeah.
That's how they speak in Arkansas, isn't it?
That's from what I understand.
Yeah. So, Oliver's nephew, Quentin White, and his wife, Stephanie, also lived in the house in 2003. Oh, so okay. So they probably snatched that up for pennies on the pound.
Yeah.
Strange things would happen on a regular basis, like the commode would flush on its own. It's probably just one of those fancy Japanese toilets.
The commode. All right, well, really scary, right? The commode used to flush on its own, and it said stuff in a mysterious language that sounded like Japanese.
I just had number one, so I thought I'd just leave it, bro. You know what I'm saying? Don't waste water, And it goes, arigato, bastion, that flushing and stuff.
And it played a little blinky plonky sound. Ding, 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 ding.
Who told me that enchanted?
Well, I used to sit on Tyler, and what I used to shoot right up my anus. It turns out he had a bidet. Yeah.
Stop shitting in the bidet, Tony. There's Quentin. One day,
it won't go down.
So one day, Quentin was working on the house, and he was on the phone with Stephanie.
Quentin.
He heard a crash upstairs, she said, and went to find out what had happened. He'd previously stacked a large pile of 2x4s on the floor, but when he reached the upstairs room...
Yeah, your bedroom 2x4s, of course.
So they only lived there for a few months. They couldn't take all of this. People aren't very resistant to hauntings, are they? I mean, it's freaked you out a little bit.
Bible Belt, mate.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, belief in demons.
Fuck
and
with that.
Yeah.
Don't mess with the devil.
I would have been straight round to the Quintment Church of Christ, which is just round the corner on Herbert Spring Roads, west.
Oh, okay. So Tony, apparently, or at this point in time, Tony still owns
so he let
house.
He'd let his nephew and niece move in for a bit because he was trying to sacrifice them to appease the spirits or something.
Just leave him there for a couple of years and see what happens. You know, so he continues.
Canary in the coal mine style.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hey, they got a cheap room. Caveat emptor.
Right, we're here for a couple of months. Right, let's get all the 2x4s upstairs.
Yeah.
We're going to put up some false walls.
This attic is well sort of.
It's 2 bedrooms from what I can see. So why is he bringing? This doesn't ring true. Why is he bringing 2 like a load of 2x? Was he Hacksaw Jim Duggan? Why is he bringing 2x4s right to the bedroom when they've got a double garage?
Well, he was doing work, wasn't he? So presumably he might have been replacing. Well, he might have been replacing some rotten boards, or I don't know, Chris. I can't. A weird part of the story to pick up on. You didn't believe.
Look, we're giving you the right to reply. Yeah, that's what I'll say. Enough. Email us.
It's only if you like to get in touch and explain what they were up to.
Tony's nephew or nephew-in-law, I can't remember.
If you're still
get in touch, try
Quinton and Stephanie.
Yeah, clear your name.
Explain what you're doing with those 2x4s.
Because at the moment, fingers are pointing at you. I'll just put it that way.
So he still shows the home to prospective buyers, or at least he did back when this article was written, this was going back to 2007. I think they've sold it since, but half the price they wanted to, according to that.
But they bought it for half the price it was worth, so do you know what I mean? Yeah,
so, swings and roundabouts. He once placed a new pair of sunglasses and prescription medication on a table. Interesting. During the time he was there, he said he became angry about his inability to sell the house and voiced his resentment, saying, "These damn spooks, I'm tired of taking care of this place." He said his comments apparently angered someone or something, as later both the glasses and the medicine were gone. That's spooky, isn't it?
Wife tidying stuff away.
Yeah. Or perhaps he wasn't taking his medicine. I've lost glasses before.
When he woke up the next day,
didn't blame it on the paranormal.
When he woke up the next day, all his OxyContin was gone, and his glasses were on his head.
Yeah.
Oh, it must have been ghosts.
Supernatural happenings around here.
No, honestly, I need my prescription refilled. A ghost ate it. And I stole my glasses. They're on your head. Oh, right.
How'd they get there?
I was passed out. I don't remember a thing. I lost a lot of time. I think that happens with the paranormal. Last thing I remember.
So if you bring someone in there that they don't like, you'll feel chills and your hair will stand on end, he said. One lady who was interested in buying the house brought her young daughter with her. The woman told Weaver that her daughter was sensitive. They do that in...
So don't take the mickey out of her.
I was going to say, they do that in quotation marks. If you told me your daughter was sensitive, my first thoughts aren't that she's got, some medium through to the paranormal spirits or whatever. I just think you meant that, she's a bit,
skittish.
Yeah, maybe be a bit,
she
polite and,
she has to use non-bio to do her clothes.
It could mean numerous things, couldn't it? But I just mean
I wouldn't assume that she had a direct line to the nether region.
The netherworld. Yeah, the places beyond.
We're not in
Vale, but then we're not
in Arkansas.
We're not in Arkansas. Oh, while the women that were walking through the home, the daughter stopped on the stairs, saying she felt very sad, quite sensitive.
Just really lazy.
Yeah,
I've got a bedroom downstairs.
I don't want to live in this town. Don't we go to Little Rock? Another time, some prospective buyers saw a recliner in the home flipped back on its own like someone was sitting there. It stayed stuck like that the whole time they were in the place. That's pretty spooky, isn't it?
Yep.
Recliner reclined. Oh.
Well, if there's no one in it.
Yet another prospect brought their dog with them to see the house, but the animal refused to go inside, Weaver said.
We could probably smell all the animal
Smart boy,
death.
Yeah, exactly.
To be fair, I imagine there's probably a stench of... dogs have noses like 14 million times more sensitive than humans.
Yeah, absolutely. Something horrific's happened here. So Ed Munnelin of Little Rock said he had eerie encounters in the Bettis house this summer. A former pilot with Federal Express, Munnelin has worked remodeling.
Thank you for your service.
With the Federal Express, yeah. Well, he's worked remodeling the home since May. So, he was a former pilot. Okay, so I think he's retired. He's got this little retirement job, presumably.
Medals.
Yeah. This is Federal Express, 5-year service, 10-year service, Medal of Valor in
Purple Heart
in posting. Yeah, Purple Heart when a dog attacked you when you were losing a
dropped
parcel.
a box on his foot.
Yeah. He prefers to work on the house at night because he said too many people were curious about the ghosts wanted to come in.
Right.
So I think they want to make a little bit of again. This is a place I'd turn this into a museum. See if you can hire out Robert the Doll for the winter or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be good. Oh, imagine that.
Get him on a journey.
All the paranormal stuff there.
Because Robert could then fight this punk, couldn't he? I reckon Robert the Doll would sort him right out. You're used to pushing around your parents and dogs and cats. Robert the Doll's going to fucking have time with you.
Why don't you pickle someone your own size?
I've seen that terrible, terrible Welsh film.
No, that wasn't Robert. That was what's her name? The other one, the one with the smashed up face. It's in Canada.
No, the Welsh film's Robert the Doll.
Oh, it was Robert. No, you're right. Yeah,
yeah. It's him moving around with a baseball bat. I say
looks like there's a new governor in town. I heard someone's been a bit naughty.
Where's your toe? It's fucking toe. Oh yeah. So yeah.
There's a lot of woodland around there. A lot of people go missing.
This is Robert the Doll.
This is Robert's
scum cross fiction. Yeah.
Well, Robert comes in.
Robert's the new boy in Borstal.
Robert comes in with a load of pool cues and a sock. Knock, knock. Robert's home.
I don't like people who are animals. I happen to be very fond of dogs personally.
I'm very much a cat man. I'll tell you who's not as defenceless as an animal. Old Robbie boy.
Yeah. A 2-foot-old doll.
Why don't you try some of your shit with me?
Full of coins.
You little slag.
So the guy working on the house is also.
So we'll write that film then.
Yeah, that's going to be we're going to turn that into a one-act play.
Robert versus Dog Boy.
Robert versus Dog Boy. Yeah. Or just
not Kansas Tale.
We can maybe turn this into some sort of like a fighting game. I don't know. You could have a multimedia franchise out of this. Various entities that have to fight each other. Like
when the Wu-Tang Clan had a fighting game, which was called 36 Chambers, and it was like a 4-person fighting game where you and it was based on, there was like a game which was banned called Thrill Kill, and they basically just reskinned that and put the Wu-Tang Clan in it.
They actually have members of the Wu-Tang Clan rather than... So you could Ghostface Killer could fight...
Yeah, they all had their separate styles and stuff, yeah. Would do that with all the people that all the stuff we've mentioned on there.
All the various cryptids and whatever, yeah. I think there's something there.
You're right to learn coding quickly, aren't you?
Yes. Should be easy enough, shouldn't it?
Easy enough, yeah. Just use the Unreal Engine, whatever.
Yeah.
Just drop in props or whatever. I think that's how it works.
Yeah, it is. You can just get AI to do it all now, can't you? Well, I shouldn't. They've got it making paintings and writing articles now.
Will your character be like the Watcher in Marvel / Dungeons and Dragons, the cartoon?
Yes. He likes to watch. That's what that character does.
Oh, I shouldn't get involved. Like Darley in a cupboard.
Oh dear. So he's working on the house, had several unexplainable incidents happen to him. Now, I'm a rational person, he says. I don't believe in the paranormal, but since I've been working on that place, I feel very uncomfortable, like somebody's watching me.
Maybe because you're doing it at night?
Yeah. Well, because otherwise you're just getting pestered by people who want to see the ghosts. I mean, they should be coming at night, to be fair. They don't want to be rude, do they? I think possibly
who does a house at night?
Corner of our, I don't know. I mean,
I'll be honest, mate. You don't sound that rational if you're like...
Nobody in this town seems particularly normal. I think they've had a gas leak or something going on for a while, because there's some fairly irrational behaviour. Obviously, Gerald is the worst of these, but they all seem slightly hooky, shall we say. Like somebody's watching me said, he also claims to have seen spirits several times. When I pull up to the driveway of the house at night, I see a man looking down at me, dressed in a brown jacket and a bow tie, like from another time period.
Like Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah. That would be pretty...
Yeah, I don't know what he's... Yeah, I mean, I can only see him...
That guy doesn't seem to age that much. I can't remember who the chap's name who plays Pee Wee Herman is, but he did one fairly recently, didn't he? And he's still sort of... Isn't he like in his 60s or something? Yeah, Paul Rubin. Isn't he in his 60s or something now? He must be.
Probably.
He was doing that in like the early 80s. He's 70. Because he did like a Netflix show about 5 years ago, didn't he? I don't know whether they de-aged him with that technology or what have you, but he still looks... And I think he hands on pancakes on quite a lot of makeup as well, but he doesn't... He still looks
He was in the Blacklist, which I've seen. I don't remember him in that.
Well, of course, Paul Rubens, because he had a little incident in adult cinema.
Yes, that's what I was joking about. We can only see him waist up.
Oh, right, yeah, okay. But you kind of think, well, what are the police up to with that kind of thing? Because it's like, I mean, don't get me wrong, but why are people going to these quote unquote? I mean, firstly, why are people going to adult cinemas anyway? Just stay at home and
didn't have the internet or
back before all of that. Okay,
yeah, it was back in the late 80s or something.
Oh, was it that long ago? Because
that's why he kind of disappeared off for about 15, 20 years.
But then they think, well, why are people going in? Is that really the best thing that the police can be doing with their money? Mind you, I suppose we're lucky they didn't go in with submachine guns these days. But yeah, but no, do you know what I mean? It's like
59 clips.
If it,
1991, he was
what
arrested.
What do I think people are going into those places to do? I don't know.
91, he was arrested for masturbating during a film in an adult movie theatre during a random police inspection.
Oh, okay. That's a crap job, isn't it? You're the policeman who's just got to walk around and just check nobody's wanking in the adult cinema.
We all had to do it, rookie.
Yes, boys. Where I can see you. What's keeping that popcorn bucket upright?
You look a bit flushed there, boy. Would you mind standing up for me?
all while just this going on in the background.
Yeah. You've all got to say, everyone's got to stand up, put your hands on your head. Yeah. And I'm going to swing my nightstick.
I don't know, because I presume the proprietors weren't exactly the kind of because if you're running that kind of a place, I assume you're not too fussy about the clear.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? I kind of just feel like...
It's sort of like, what are you expecting?
Yeah, it just seems, I don't know.
It just started hailing.
Blimey.
Global weirding, Neil, global weirding.
Indeed. Right, we'll get to the end of this because there's not too much left. But so an extension of the house is where Munley claims to have seen the ghost of Gerald Bettis looking at him several times. He was this huge, weird-looking cat with long brown hair.
Oh no, he's turned into a cat.
Well, this is when you wonder, is he turned into a cat person? It sounds, I quite like his vernacular there.
Hey man,
he was this huge, weird-looking cat.
This giant turkey.
Hair, big eyes, big arms and hands. Walked in front of me and glove it. Yeah, so I think this guy is built like a brick shit house. Right after I saw him, he walked through the hall and disappeared.
I think
like a cold wind blowing down his neck. Yeah.
You see, I think a lot of this could be to do with the fact that you know the story of what's happened in the house.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think it's, any kind of like old house is going to be like leaks and creaks and kind of like things going on and sort of like breezes and what have you. Just like things don't get maintained over the years. That's why you take your 2x4s upstairs, Chris, to fix those things. But yeah, it's kind of like, I think as you say, knowing the story of the house.
It's going to be playing on your mind, isn't it?
Yeah, you couldn't help it, even no matter how rational you are. These things are you're in a,
especially if you're
lizard brain and was just
doing it at night for whatever reason,
telling you to be paranoid about these things. Sometimes I hear something slam or something walking across the floor, but I can't see anything. Now let me know that they're there. He said, anyway, 2005, Casper investigated the house. Billings was the lead researcher on the case. We went there on 2 different occasions, he said. The first time we noticed cold spots, 10 to 15 degrees cooler than the ambient temperature of the house. Of drafts, one would assume. A very sensitive electromagnetic field detector was used that picks up all kinds of electromagnetic readings.
Yeah, EMP detector.
And they picked up an energy force that had no explanation. There you go. She also reported that the team tracked an entity through the kitchen area where the team members felt like someone had touched them. When we went outside at one point to get some lunch from a car, we looked up and saw a face peering down at us. All 3 of the Casper team members witnessed the face in the window, but it was confirmed there was no one upstairs at the time, Schilling said. And the second time, they came on with a medium. That's what you want.
Finally.
Yeah. Don't fuck about. You've got to get a medium involved right now.
Hopefully it was the Warrens.
Yeah. That would be the icing on this particular cake. So he got in touch with what seemed to be the spirit of Gerald Bettis. Schilling said he cursed us and told us to get out. They used videotape to document what they considered to be additional evidence of paranormal activity, including orbs flying through the wall and unexplainable flashing lights. And they got footage of these ghost hunting expeditions shot over the 2 occasions, Chris. So that's going to be pretty compelling, isn't it?
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
anything happened to the tapes?
And they've gone missing.
Oh no!
Unfortunately, multiple attempts to locate the film have failed. It was disconcerting, she said. Oh, Casper, you've got to be more careful when you document these things.
Disconcerting / convenient.
Yeah. Anyway, that was the end of the article from the Arkansas.
Okay.
There's it's probably quite a local kind of like urban legend.
It's a good one, man.
A lot of spooky things, but there's a lot to back it up. As you say, I think how much of it is knowing. I mean, the thing that really, as you called on very early on, the thing that creeps me out is when you're literally like talking about multiples of cats and dogs, and where you're assuming that he's built an extension to house more of these things. I mean, who the fuck's not calling the police or something?
Yeah.
Not getting. I mean, I don't know. Is that allowed? Is that, I don't know.
What is it? What
I would have thought, like, if that, if that was happening.
Well, it's a small community of like 700 people who presumably had pets, and if their pets are all going missing and someone saw someone constantly taking,
because where are all these cats and dogs coming from? And you would have thought, like, I get that it's a small town.
Mate, I don't care if he's a big. I don't care. Well, he's a big boy, my size, whatever. And
three policemen with armed are going to presumably be able to sort.
Or one smaller person with a fucking baseball bat. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't. I don't know. Like, it feels like people are turning a blind eye. Like, I don't really understand why. Because even if you don't care about animals, and I'll tell you right now, probably 1 in 2 people does give a shit about animals being alive or dead. Right.
Yeah.
So, even if you don't, the fact that he was clearly abusing your
parents as well, your neighbours.
Well, who were your neighbours? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what's gone on there. Like, I don't think it paints the residents in a particularly good light. But
I don't know the
ins and outs.
They don't really get into all of that. So that's the most intriguing part for me. It's kind of like,
why didn't anyone fucking stop?
Clearly, people were scared of him, but again, get the police involved.
I mean, like, pretty much every person there probably had 14 guns. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the fucking great equalizer. He'd be bringing a large target to a gunfight.
Mm. Yeah, you would have thought it would have all moved out like the end of Roadhouse or something.
Roadhouse. That's
what I needed, the Patrick Swayze character to come in and sort of
roundhouse kick him out of the top window.
World famous bouncer.
So let's go through our scoring system.
Go for scoring.
So spookiness.
Yeah, so this one is really spooky for me because basically this. I mean, it's not so much all the paranormal stuff. It's a weird one where the urban myth is still around, but the actual facts behind the urban myth probably, massively facilitated it, are actually far more compelling and spooky than all of the sort of ghost stories. Things appearing with a bow tie in the upper window, or a World War I trench soldier coming out and walking through the thing is. I mean, that's mildly spooky, but that's just like that would just make like a tiny cameo in Ghostbusters, wouldn't it? It wouldn't be the main thing that you'd be looking at. No, just this real person is kind of like, and all of his, the genuine acts that he did, the abuse of his abuse of his parents, and the horrific kind of actions against all of the animals. That makes it very, very kind of like spooky in my book. So yeah, this is going to get a 9.
9. Yeah, I think it's pretty spooky. I mean, not only the kind of story of all the stuff he's done, so just repeating you with that, but I don't know. It's got it's quite a small town in the middle of nowhere as well. I mean, it's not near a sort of big town or anything. It's kind of pretty rural. And I guess if you're in that kind of environment, then things sort of feel like they become more kind of closed in.
Yeah,
because you're in like a small community. And no matter kind of like we said, no matter how rational you are, that place, because I mean it's probably the biggest thing that's happened in the town. So that place would, if you were from there, probably have quite a big place in your mind. So it would be spooky just because you knew what had gone on. So you can see why people would potentially sort of think they've seen stuff. So I'm going to give it a 9 as well, Neil. So believability. Well, all of the stuff he did is believable and it's recorded, and so it's very high. The supernatural part, there's always a thing which I'm not sure that I entirely believe in the supernatural, but do I believe that people think that they saw stuff there, and whether that be kind of confirmation bias or false memory or whatever. I do. So I think it's a very believable one. So I'm going to give it a 9 for that as well.
Yeah, so believability, again, going to be similar sort of argument for me, is that, a lot of it is documented and did happen. I mean, there's a lot of this is just real life stuff. And the rest of it is probably whether it's a guilty conscience or whether it's kind of like, just knowing all the horrific things that happened. I can certainly see why these kind of things, people would sort of believe them themselves. So he's going to get an 8 from me.
8. So narrative premise, Neil.
Yeah, I mean, it's a kind of quite a horrific one, but I think there's definitely you know, I mean, you look at the kind of backstories of a lot of slasher movies and the killers and stuff like this. This is a much more awful, terrifying one. So somebody who sort of abused their parents and was sort of horrific with all of these animals and things. And then for some reason, it's kind of like, again, it's the idea of the community it's been allowed to get on or whatever, but then to sort of turn on them or whatever. I don't know. You could imagine there'd be quite a compelling story out of this. In fact, that's, you know, what's largely become an urban myth is just based out of like the actions of just one person, really. I think that's where a lot of it's grown up from. So I think that's quite sort of compelling. So that's going to get another 8 from me, I think.
Okay. So yes to all you said, but I think that also it can, if you're going to make a film about it, it could be expanded out to the earlier story about the World War I veteran dying there, and maybe they had something to do with why this kid went crazy or whatever, and then seeing stuff afterwards. I mean, like, it's got, you wouldn't have to do much fiddling around to get a film out of it. I don't think it's a series or anything. So I'm going to give it a 7-0. So Reach. Well, I haven't heard of it. I don't know how big it is. Has it had any documentaries or anything made, Neil? Do we know?
I don't know. That I haven't sort of seen anything in terms of. I think this one hasn't. I think this is where it falls down a bit. I don't think there's much in the way of Reach.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure if there's a wiki page even, to be honest with you. I mean, let's have a quick look.
Well, it sounds like one that maybe. I mean, I don't even know if it would be known statewide.
Yeah.
So I think. I mean, where did you find it? just as a general. You just get sent the Arkansas papers, don't you?
Yeah, you know, I do a lot of looking around. I think it was on Wiki actually, but let's have a look. Dog Boys. You know, oh no, they're all better stuff. Yeah, the problem is Dog Boy gets conflated with a load of other things.
Anyway, so the fact that it's taken so long, I don't think it's got that much of a reach. It's probably known. Well, it's definitely known in the town. It would be massive, and maybe it's known sort of throughout northern Arkansas a bit, but I mean, it doesn't seem to be massive. So I'm going to have to give it a 2 for Reach now. Yeah,
it's probably fairly similar for me. I think, I can't see any evidence that it's sort of taken that much. It's obviously been written about a bit locally. I think it is on the Wiki Urban Legends page, but I think that's just pointing out. Obviously, that could have just been put there by somebody from Arkansas. So, yeah, I'll give it a 2 as well.
That gives us an overall score of 54. So pretty high, but just falls down because it's not very well known.
No.
Well, that's it for this week. Be kind to animals, and if you know someone who isn't, I give you carte blanche to go and give them a good kicking, or to call the police or animal services or whatever you have on them, because that ain't right. So that's the message I'll leave you with this week. That's what I've learned, that I'm very squeamish when it comes to animal abuse, whereas elder abuse, I'm not at all. So where are my priorities at? Who knows? And I'll leave you with that thought, and I'll say goodbye for this week. If you want to get in contact, it's herb.legend.podcast@gmail.com. All right, and we'll be back next Thursday with something different. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Server. USB.